Have you ever noticed how everyone feels totally fine telling poor people what to do with their money, but the second you bring up the idea of maybe, just maybe, rich people should stop hoarding every dime they make like a dragon sitting on a mountain of gold, the answer is always the same thing. Well, it's their money. And that is true, it is their money. But it always kind of confused me a bit when you're talking about someone who isn't rich. Kind of like how poor people can't buy coffee or grab some fast food, or God forbid treat themselves to a small luxury without the internet or their families chiming in. Well, maybe if you didn't waste all your money on Starbucks, you wouldn't be that broke. As if skipping that $5 latte isn't going to magically fix rent prices, medical bills, or the fact that wages have barely moved in decades. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos can literally shoot himself in his face for fun, and the response is, well, he earned it. It's his money. I think the reason this happens is because society has built this narrative that if you're being poor, that equates to being irresponsible. Like, the assumption isn't that you're broke because your rent eats up 75% of your paycheck, or that healthcare is basically highway robbery. It's because you didn't budget properly. It's because you bought some name brand cereal instead of the generic one. And if you're rich, oh well, that's just proof you're smart, disciplined, and hardworking. Even if you're literally born into it. Even if your money is sitting in stocks, making more money while you do absolutely nothing. Once you start seeing this narrative for what it really is, it gets kind of hard to unsee. It's not random, it's not an accident, it's designed. It's way easier to profit off people when they're desperate. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, stressed, anxious, constantly juggling and choosing which bills get paid late this month, you're more likely to take on debt, pay high interest rates, settle for wages that are way too low, and cling to whatever job you can get. You're not really free, you're trapped. And when you're trapped, you're profitable. This whole idea that poverty is your fault, because wealth is supposed to be your achievement. If we're cool with telling poor people how to spend their money, why can't we do the same thing for rich people? Like, if you're a billionaire, there's no possible way you're going to spend all that money in your lifetime. You could buy yachts, build mansions in every country, stockpile cars, and you'd still probably be sitting on billions. At that point, what you're doing isn't spending, it's just hoarding. But say that out loud, and people clutch their pearls. Well, they worked hard for it. You can't just take their money away. But we're fine telling the person who's making $30K a year they shouldn't buy takeout because they can't afford it. Like, you'll regulate someone else's lunch, but not someone else's $1 trillion portfolio. And the thing that gets me is that poor people just can't get a win. If they spend money on fun things, they're irresponsible. If they spend it on necessities, they're lazy because they're not investing in themselves. If they take welfare or government aid, they're leeches. If they don't, they're not working hard enough. Meanwhile, rich people can gamble the entire economy into a full-blown recession, and people act like that's completely fine. They'll just bail them out and give them tax breaks. And it's not even about what people think. Look at how laws and systems are built. Poor people get their welfare checked, tested, scrutinized, drug tests, paperwork, 1,000 hoops just to jump through. But rich people's tax breaks, offshore accounts, shell companies, no one's chasing them down like that. They get loopholes carved out specifically for them, while poor folks have to fight tooth and nail just for crumbs. I don't know. I just hate how people treat you when you're poor versus when you're rich. If you're born poor, that's your problem. You're expected to bootstrap your way out of it. Grind, hustle, make sacrifices. And if you don't make it, society shrugs it off and says, well, life's tough. But if you're born rich, somehow that's just merit. People act like you earn it somehow. Like you had this whole business plan lined up when you were 2 years old that justifies inheriting your trust fund. People who are poor don't need other people telling them, if you just stop buying fast food, you may be able to buy a house one day. I mean, if you literally cut out every coffee, every burger, every so-called luxury, you'd still be nowhere near affording a down payment in today's market. But that line of thinking, just blame poor people for being poor, keeps that system in place. Because if you can convince enough people that poverty is a personal failure, then no one will question why billionaires exist. No one asks, wait, why are we okay with a handful of people having more wealth than entire countries, while millions of people can't afford rent or food? That's why it's easier to shame poor people and not the rich. It's easier to kick down than punch up. It's easier to believe that the reason they're struggling is because they're just bad with money, than face the fact that the game might be rigged. It's easier to think that rich people are just geniuses than admit that maybe they just benefit from a system rigged in their favor. And part of it's hope too. People defend the rich because deep down, a lot of folks still believe they could be rich one day. But the truth is, Most people will never be billionaires. Not trying to hate, that's just the way it is. The average person is more likely to be homeless than to be a billionaire. But what do you guys think? Am I way off base, or do you agree? Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you enjoy my videos. Don't forget to like it up, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.